Blessed greetings and alafia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Blessed greetings and alafia. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Second Sundays with Iya Funlayo. It is me, your favorite scholar priestess, Iya Funlayo. So blessed, honored, thrilled always to get to come before you on Second Sundays when we have our live lecture, our discussion, and our hangout time together. Ekabo Iyalode, I see you in the heezy for sheezy. Y'all go ahead and make a comment, please, as you come in. Hit those hearts so that I know you're here. Hi, Camille, Tamu, Vespera. I see you all coming in. We are just so grateful to get to be together today. We are grateful to get to share this time with one another when we are going to talk about the use of psychedelics, also more properly known, well, I won't say more properly, but my preferred term, and I'll tell you why in a few, entheogens, right? How these interplay with African spirituality and how they interplay with spirituality in general. Hi, Saida, Urushla, Amanda, blessings, 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 and of course, blessings and immense greetings to everybody who will watch this in the replay. If you are not familiar with me, I am Iya Dr. Funlayo Ewood Menzies, the founding Iya of Ase Ire, also the founding director of the African and Diasporic Religious Studies Association. And I am always so honored and so pleased when I get a chance to come and share some time with my people, sharing knowledge, sharing love, sharing energy with one another. Hey, Karen, Lauren, Stephanie, Kenya, Rochelle, Allison, Aminette, Omomi, Kerry, Sharon, Kylie, blessings. Ogboato, hey, if you're new, that is beautiful. Hey, Funke, Christina, beautiful. I'm so happy to see so many of my fam up in here. And those of you who are new, we pray that you will come back. Yes, so many times over. I say. So we just first, we always like to start with a moment of taking a breath together. Thank you to all of you who joined me this morning for Orisa Prayer and Meditation. We lit it up with Oshosi, and it is actually really fitting that we're going to discuss the topic we're going to discuss today because Oshosi is associated with these varied states of mind and being able to travel, right, between various states of mind. And so we are going to talk about that. And we are so very excited. Hi, Christina. Blessings. Yes. So let us just take a moment to center ourselves. Let's take a deep breath in through our noses and out through our mouths. Just releasing any tension we may have, allowing our bodies to relax for a moment. Let us touch our heads. Oriwu, Oriwu. We pray for our Ori to expand always, to accept those things that are meant for us. And we pray for it to contract when it needs to keep out those things that are not meant for us. We just give thanks in every moment for our own good head. Orire, Eku Orire, oh, greetings to your good head. May our heads always lead us well towards our destiny. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Yes, so I'm excited to talk about this topic today. This is a topic that is near and dear in certain ways to me, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. But one of the reasons that I decided that I wanted to talk about this today in particular is because we are having a moment, and we know this, right? This is a very particular moment. It is not unprecedented, right? It is not unprecedented, but it is unprecedented in this modern era, in this era of media, in this era of social media, right? In this era of always on, always. So the amount of anxiety that can be built up around the pandemic, around the revolution happening in the streets, which I am all for. Make no mistake, Iya is a revolutionary all day, every day, first and foremost. Understand, right? So I'm with it. I'm with you, youth. Any youth that are listening, it's been on my spirit. If you are a youth protester who has been out there on the front lines, inbox me because I got something for you. All right. If your child has been out there, whoever, if you know somebody who's been out there, send me their name or send them to me. Please come see me. I got something for you. Because look, as I always have said, as we've been going through this moment, hey Ruth, Mandisa, everybody has a different role to play. Everybody has a different role to play. When we look at our traditions, right? When we look at Orisha, when we look at Ifa, when we look at all of our African spiritual traditions, there's not one manifestation of the divine. There's not two. There's not even 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1,000. There are infinite possibilities, right? 400 plus 1. That plus 1 means infinity. And so if there are 400 plus 1 manifestations of this energy, infinite, they can't all be doing the same thing at the same time. The heart has to do what it does. The brain has to do what it does. The eyes do what they do. The nose do what it does. The mouth does what it does. And all of them doing what they do together and in harmony is what makes the body work. Not, you know, if the mouth is like, oh, snap, well, I'm not nothing if I'm not thinking, and the mouth starts trying to think. Or if the stomach's like, oh, you know what, I'm not as important as the feet if I'm not running, and the stomach try to run, we got problems. You know what I'm saying? So just like, again, as we always take our cues from nature, everybody has a part to play. So there are some who will be on the front lines. There are some who will be in the temple praying those ones on the front lines up and being ready to reintegrate them back into society when they come back from battle. Because understand, war and battle are unnatural states. And when they are through, we have to reintegrate those energies back into society. So we can't all be out there fighting, right? Somebody has to build whatever it is that is going to remain when the fighting is through, right? So understand, whatever your role is, as Iyalode and I have shared before, whatever your role is, whatever your part is, play that part. Understand that we are in the season of Yoruba New Year. Happy New Year. As we know, the Yoruba traditionally use a lunar calendar, and whereby the year, the beginning and ending of the year are marked by moon phases. I've shared some information about this. It has been grafted onto the Gregorian calendar, right, in order for us to articulate with one another. So the New Year date is now set as June 3rd, but that new year actually coincides with the moon cycles. And so June 3rd marked the beginning of a new year. And as a new year is marked, we read the year, just like a person, individual has readings to see what types of energies are around. We also read for the year, and I have a lecture about this. So if you didn't watch that one on the reading of the year and what it signifies, you can check that out. But the important point that I want to make about this reading is that in January, my Baba, Oluwole Fakunle, shout out to him, Aboraboye, read the Odu of Ogbe Alara, Ogbe Otura. And then on June 3rd in Ile-Ife, the Babalawos and Yanifas in Ile-Ife also revealed the same Odu, Ogbe Otura, Ogbe Alara. What does that mean? That means that no matter what calendar you're looking at, whether it's Gregorian or Yoruba, Ogbe Alara, Ogbe Otura is the Odu that we are existing in its energy, one of the Odus in whose energy we are existing right now. And one of the refrains or the admonitions of this Odu is to celebrate, to jollificate, to not see any past failure as an impediment to future success. I'm going to say that again. Run it back. Let's not see any past failure as an impediment to future success. That is on an individual level. That is on a communal level. Because I heard folks saying, yeah, we tried this and we did that before. It wasn't 2020 before. There wasn't no coronavirus before, right? So whatever happened before doesn't matter. It's now. It's what we do right now, from now, every minute. Now. Those of you who are taking Yoruba language with me, we haven't gotten to this part yet, but understand that in Yoruba language, and the reason why, of course, we talk about language is because it expresses epistemology. In Yoruba language, there is no static present tense, right? Things are either done in the past or they are currently happening. There's no such thing as a present moment, because now this moment that I'm talking, it's now gone. It's in the past. And even as I continue to speak, each moment that passes is in the past. Right? Each moment that passes is in the past. There is only the past, which is done, or the present progressive, as we call it in linguistic terms, which is what we are actively doing right now and what we are continually doing. At Cabo, Brother Richard, so happy to see you here. Yes. So Lauren, Ogun, Kemi, Allison, I see them Ashes. Come on now, I'm trying to come through. You know they be, come on now. I done activated some things. So all of that to say that, we are in a moment, and this is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about these substances that have been very widely discussed and that are coming back into being discussed even more right now. And one of the things that occurred to me is that the last time psychedelics were really being super heavily discussed and people were really bringing them onto the front of the mind as they are now is back in the 60s and 70s, when we were in another era that was unprecedented, right, in the world and in this country. In the era of the civil rights movement, in the era of the Vietnam War, in the era where many young people, just like now, we're on those front lines, fighting, saying no, sticking flowers into the barrels of guns of soldiers. Come on, young people, look. Like Pac said, if we say there ain't no hope for the youth, then the truth is there ain't no hope for the future. So if you ever utter a negative word about young people, stop it. Because young people, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, young people, right? They are always the ones who have marked the change in the world, who have said enough, right? Who have come along and said enough. Who have come along and said enough, right? Enough. Even when we look at the revival of our African spiritual traditions on the continent, understand, it's the youth that are leading that. It's the young people in colleges, coming up, that are leading these campaigns saying, Eshu is not Satan. They're making t-shirts, they're making pages to try to fight this long-standing conception that has been on the books since the colonial era and before. Come on. They are doing it. So please, I implore you, support these young people. Support them. Yes, Camille said we better speak life into them. Yes, speak life and understand what they are looking for. Understand what they are looking for when they venture into using any type of substance that is going to alter their consciousness, which is what we're about to talk about right now. Funke says that's why the government dumbs down the school system, because they knew the protests stemmed from the youth. Yes, come on now. And that's why listen, look what's happening. Again, this is Urdu playing out. This is Urdu, right? Look what happened. The perfect storm. These young people were stuck inside, right? They're stuck inside for 3 months. Come on now. 3 days is the usual ritual period. Come with me. They've been inside for 3 months. Their high school graduations, they couldn't attend. Their proms, all of these things that they were told meant something, and were the pinnacles of their existence as young people, got canceled so that they could not participate in them. At the same time that that's happening, they're seeing people being killed in the streets in a way that has not that it hasn't happened, but it hasn't been televised the way it is now. A 17-year-old filmed that video of George Floyd, okay? Understand, young people, they're taking in all of this psychic pain and psychic trauma. They're taking in all of these things, and in many cases, unfortunately, the elders don't know how to explain it for them or how to help them through that. And so, as happens, young people often experiment with drugs, right? They experiment with different things. They drink, they smoke pot, they may, try psychedelics. And part of the reason why I decided to talk about this today is precisely because someone who's close to me called me and told me that their children, their two adult children in their 20s, recently decided to try LSD, and the experience was a little harrowing for them. Ultimately, it was fine, right? But I want us to understand where the impulse for this comes from, right? The impulse to alter consciousness is actually one of our deepest impulses, similar to eating, drinking, and sex, right? Remember when you were a kid, if you used to spin around in circles until you got dizzy, or swings, or any of those things that bring up the adrenaline and that alter our consciousness, those are drugs, right? Those are our first drugs, so to speak. Those are our first ways of altering our consciousness. Turning off the light and trying to see in the dark, right? Those kinds of things that we would do as children, those things are rituals, right? Those things are seeking to alter consciousness in some way. And that is ultimately what people are seeking when they engage in any type of substance use, right? They are seeking some alteration of their consciousness, for good or ill. If someone's upset and they drink, they're seeking to dull their consciousness often, right? They're seeking to just shut out whatever it is. Sometimes when people smoke pot, all my cannabis users who may eat, ingest, smoke, whichever way, right? There is a seeking of a level of either deeper engagement or more shallow engagement, right? Either we're seeking to go deeper into what we're experiencing in our consciousness, or we're seeking to distance ourselves from it, right? Depending on what that substance might be and how we're using it. So with these substances that are known as psychedelics, right, which I said, entheogen is another term for these, and that's the term that I'm going to use as we continue our discussion, and I'm going to tell you why, especially in the realm of spirituality. So let me go. I have to do my my note card lecture thing for a moment. So why this discussion? Why now? We just talked about that. We are in this moment when there is a lot of psychic pain. We are in this moment where many people are seeking either to escape from or go deeper in to whatever that state of consciousness is that they're feeling, right? And so we want to be clear. And I personally, I take people, I work with La Madre Ayahuasca. I take people to Peru for retreats, and I've had an increased interest in this. And so this is one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this as well. So what are psychedelics? What are they? Let's start with the definition. Psychedelics, or entheogens, yes, Kat, that's the correct spelling, are substances that produce a non-ordinary state of consciousness. Okay? Produce a non-ordinary state of consciousness. And I see you, Olufija. Yes, entheogen, theos, theology. We going right there. I love it. I love to see that. Yes, I love it. Right? And so a non-ordinary state of consciousness, what does that mean? That means a state of consciousness that is different than our state that we ordinarily exist in, which is already a continuum, let's be clear, right? Because we know on a regular basis, without any kind of substance, some of us exist on a different wavelength than others, right? So whatever your normal is, right, wherever your ordinary state is on that spectrum, a psychedelic or entheogenic substance will alter that state. It will be non-ordinary. So this term psychedelic comes from the two terms psyche and deline. These are Greek terms, psyche meaning soul and mind. Now understand, again, when we look at psychology, how they stripped away this soul part. Psyche does not only mean the mind, right? When we say psyche, we tend to just think of the mind, but psyche is soul and mind, right? Soul and mind. And then deline means to manifest. So these substances were thought somehow to manifest certain things from within our minds or our subconsciousness or within our souls. This was coined in 1956. Then, in the year I was born, 1979, some ethnobotanists, or people who study botany in the context of culture, said, well, let's tweak that a little bit. And they came up with this term entheogen, which comes from the root word, as Olufija noted, entheos, right, which means to be inspired or filled with the Spirit of God, and genestai, which means to generate, right, and to generate, and to come into being. So these substances cause to come into being a deeper sense of being filled with the Spirit of God when we're talking about them from a spiritual perspective, right? That is ultimately what their aim is, to let us step outside of our ordinary consciousness, right? Let us step out of our ordinary consciousness long enough to have this experience of deep connection and to be filled with the Spirit of the divine. That is what is meant. And so that is why people report these very transformative experiences. Now, this is also why, just like Olodumare is a wellspring of Ashe that can either be used constructively or destructively, this altered consciousness, depending on how far it strays from your ordinary state of consciousness, right, can produce effects that can be scary if you're not prepared and if you're not in the proper environment. Think about this. If I am opening myself up to receive all of the Spirit of God, to be filled by the Spirit of Olodumare, to be filled by the Spirit of Mawulisa, of all whatever names we use, right? That's a lot, right? That's a lot. So we have to do it in the proper context and with the proper guidance so that it doesn't overwhelm us. Because, if you, just think about what I'm saying that it is. If you are doing this opening of yourself to be filled with this grand Spirit, it has to be in the proper context. It has to be, right? It can't just be something that's done haphazardly. It can't just be something that is done without forethought into why and the point and the purpose of why this journey is being undertaken. Because trust, it's a journey, right? So this is why I wanted to talk about this again, because many people are curious. And, like they said in the old days, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So I'm trying to give you some satisfaction today in learning about these sacred teachers, as they are called in the Peruvian context, the teacher plants, the mothers, right? Ayahuasca is called La Madre. She is called the queen of all plants, right? And so we are going to talk about this connection, of course, first to plants, which I'm about to move into, and also with women and mothers as our first teacher. The first teacher that we have. Ooh, come on now. Ooh, y'all know the spirit start moving. Breast milk, an ingested substance. An ingested substance is our first teacher. Come on now, come with me, come with me, come with me. When we drink the milk from our mother's breast, we are taking in everything that she has eaten. We are taking in her genetic information, and understand that the nipple, look, the nipple doesn't only put milk out, the nipple also sucks in a little bit of the saliva of the baby. Come on now, so that the mother's body can synthesize what the baby needs. We don't even understand how deep it goes, right? And her DNA. Olufija, yes. Lauren said, I never heard that last part. Yes, now. La madre, the queen. The nipple sucks in a little bit of the baby's DNA in order to understand what it needs and how to deliver it, right? How to deliver it. If the mother's milk is delivering too much of something, that's not going to be good for the baby. So the mother also is that receptor that knows what the child needs. And this is what's actually said often about La Madre Ayahuasca, particularly if she is engaged in the proper context, that she evaluates you to see what you need and then delivers what is needed in the way that it is needed. Right? And I will share a little bit of one of my experiences with you in a moment with that. So just to give you a little more history and things like that, psychedelics are considered physiologically safe. That means that most of them will not poison you, or anything like that. Usually the ratio of how much it takes to produce an effect and how much it takes to be fatal is what they use to determine physiological safety. So with psychedelics, they have the highest ratio of any drug, or I don't even like the word drug, any substance, any ingestible substance, right? The highest ratio between their point that will produce an effect and the point that it could be fatal. So that's what is meant by physiologically safe. They are also not addictive physically, right? They're non-addictive, and in fact have been shown to be effective in helping to treat addiction. So this is one of the first things when clinical trials were going on, and some of these, all of these substances have been tested by scientists and laboratories and clinical trials and different things, which is part of how they ended up illegal, right? Partially because of some of the uses that the government was in planning for them, right? So with LSD in particular, let's start talking about the one that most people have likely heard of, acid LSD. First of all, before I go into them, let me just say, of course, as someone said, plants, every single substance that we are talking about comes from a plant. Kosi ewe, kosi orisha, kosi imo, kosi aye, kosi anything. Nothing without plants, right? So all of these substances come from plants. LSD even comes from the fungus of the ergot, a type of fungus called ergot. And lysergic acid diethylamide, that's what LSD stands for. And the lysergic acid comes from a fungus and was later synthesized in a laboratory. Mescaline is another one that people have often heard about. This is from the peyote cactus. So peyote, used widely here in North America, right? Used here in North America to produce sacred journeys, and mescaline is the substance that was synthesized from that cactus. Psilocybin, we've heard of in mushrooms, right? So this shrooms or magic mushrooms, the active compound in those is called psilocybin. And then we have the substance known as DMT, which is a substance that comes from not only the ayahuasca plant, but that's one plant that contains this substance, as well as certain other plants that are mixed into the brew. Because ayahuasca, la madre, is a brew that consists, nothing in indigenous culture happens alone. So even though the vine is the primary ingredient, there is also the chacruna plant, which is a male plant, right? Which is said to help us open up so that the mother can do her work, right? The male chacruna helps to open us so that the mother can go inside, right? Now, understand, and I see Olufija saying humans produce DMT. Humans produce all of these substances synthesized from the natural substance, right? And so understand that if you are taking, if at any point, and let me just make this disclaimer, because most of these substances are illegal. Not that legality determines everything that we do, obviously, because a whole lot of stuff has been legal. Slavery was legal at some point, and that didn't make it right, obviously. So I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna just mention that, and mention that yes, these things mostly are still illegal. However, widely used despite that, widely available, partially because they come from these natural substances. But again, when using anything that is synthesized by human beings, right, chemically synthesized, and again, outside of its original context, those two things can be a recipe for negative experiences. Not being in the proper context and using substances that have been artificially synthesized, because they interact differently with the body. It's even when we think about cannabis, we have receptors in our bodies that can receive all of these substances. So let's start there, right? None of these substances would have any effect on us if we didn't already have the receptors in us, right? We have cannabinoid receptors in our bodies. This is why cannabis acts on us. Cannabis has been a plant companion to human beings for thousands of years, right? In many different ways. In every place where plants grow, it grows. That's why they call it weed, because it grows like that, right? And so we have these receptors, right? We have natural receptors for these things in their natural states, though, right? So even with cannabis, when one of the things with those vapes that changes the way that it all works is that they are stripping out just one cannabinoid, right? THC, whereas a natural plant has hundreds of cannabinoids, and it's the combination of all of those, not just the THC, that produces the desired effect within the body and within the mind and within the psyche. So similarly, all of these substances that I'm speaking of, always best to take them in their natural states when possible, and under guidance, under guidance of some sort, whether it be, and now we are shamans. We have, once we have had an experience, we then may be able to lead others through that experience, right? So when I say with guidance, it doesn't have to mean any one specific context, but it means that you are going into this with guidance, that you're going into it understanding that you are opening yourself up to receive all of the energy of the divine and what that really signifies. What that really means. What that means is if you got traumas and things down there, they might dig that up, right? If you have experiences in your past, those things may be dug up, and they're being dug up for the purpose of healing. But again, if you're not in the proper context to process what comes up and to allow it to be healed from you and to allow it to be processed, that is where some of these quote unquote bad trips or negative experiences that we sometimes hear about can happen. Also, going into it without a purpose. If your primary purpose is to get high, quote unquote, just to feel something, just to get high, no, that's not the way to go. And the thing about it is that that opens us up to danger, because there's people out there who will say, oh yeah, you want to feel something, oh, okay, and they'll put 3-4 times what's necessary in what they're giving you to make sure that you feel something, right? And you're gonna feel something, but it's not gonna be the feeling that is that feeling of being open to the divine, and that feeling of being able now to integrate the information that comes back while you are experiencing that state, that breakdown of ego that allows you to reintegrate whatever information comes. And so now, how does all of this connect to African spirituality? Well, of course, indigenous spirituality, indigenous cultures are all over the world, and plant medicine is a part of indigenous cultures from all over the world. And one of the most common African entheogenic substances that we know of is called iboga. Iboga. And this comes from the Bwiti people of Gabon, who their history says that they learned it from the San people, who now are in southern Africa, right? Who through the Bantu migration moved down the coast. So understand again, Africans have always been cosmopolitan. We have never been dogmatic. We have never been stagnant. We have never been people who said, oh, they doing that over there. Oh, we don't do it like that. We can't do it with them. No, we've always been investigators. Oh, you doing it like that over there? Well, tell us why. Tell me why. Let's see. And if your way works better than my way, guess what? We're smart. We gonna take your way. Not just, my way is not the best just because it's my way. If your way is better, I'm gonna take your way, right? And that is the way that we have as Africans and as indigenous peoples have always exchanged. Not that there hasn't been fighting. Human beings fight, even amongst families and amongst each other. So certainly they're gonna fight amongst different groups, right? But the primary mode, remember, we have 400 plus 1 constructive energies to the right and 200 plus 1 constructive energies to the destructive energies to the left. This means that the power of construction and positivity is always, always, always twice as strong as the powers of destruction. Always. The world couldn't exist if not. If they were even equal, right? Think of it if you were building a brick wall. If every time you put one brick, somebody took that brick away, you'd never get the wall built, right? But if you put 2 and they take 1, and then you put 2 more, no, you put 4, sorry, and they take 2. And then you put 4 more and they take 2, and you put 4 more and they take 2. It's going to take some time, right? But the wall's going to get built because you're always putting more than they're taking away, right? So those energies of construction and destruction are always there, always exist. But understand that the construction is always stronger. It always is. It always is. It always is. And so we as Africans and as indigenous people, seeing each other's humanity, right? That I see you. You are a human being. You have survived. The ibi, the loss and the gain, you have survived. You've managed to balance them if you're still living. So that means that you have something that could potentially be useful to me, right? If you're living and I'm living, that means that you have found a way to negotiate this marketplace just like I have. So let me hear what you got. Let me see how you do it, right? So the Bwiti people learned about Iboga from the San people, who also still use it. And it comes from a root of the Iboga tree. Again, tree, plant, everything is plant. And so when traditionally these types of entheogenic substances were ingested, it would be in the context of ceremony, right? In the context of ceremony, just like we do in our African spiritual traditions, singing, drumming, dancing, different types of, of course, depending on the culture, different instruments, different things like that. Images, right? Produced beautiful images that are meant to invoke these energies. So actually, let me show you this right here. Oh, I'm trying to take this down. I should have took it down before, but so this is a painting that I brought back from Peru that was done by an artist who was on a journey with La Madre, ayahuasca, and these are the eyes and the vision of the mother, right? This vision of the elder mother. Ooh, okay, other side. This vision of the elder mother is one that you often see in these paintings, right? Bringing through that wisdom, the Yami, come on, the barn owl, Baba John just talked about that, right? The wisdom of the mothers and the jaguar. Come on, these symbols repeat throughout our cultures, right? These symbols repeat and they have meaning. So we do these things in context. We come together. We do them in context. We have a guide. We have a shaman. We have a curandera. We have someone who guides us. And so let me tell you a little something about Iya Funlayo. The spirits have had me guiding sacred journeys since before I knew that I was doing that, okay? And understand that, again, I, just like these youth now, we're looking for something. I was looking for something. And so, as a teenager, I probably tried every one of the substances that I have named today, except for ayahuasca and iboga, because again, these two most powerful and most indigenous and most natural ones were the ones that it was not easy to get. But back in the day when I was growing up, and understand, like, it's cheap. Mescaline was $3. Acid was $5. So these were the kinds of things that a lot of young people were doing because they were cheap and you didn't need a driver's license like you did to buy alcohol, right? This is why many young people first experiment with substances that are illegal because you don't need the driver's license to this, to that. So marijuana, psychedelics, etc. is what they turn to. Pills, please be careful. Please, this opiate thing, if you are someone who's on medication, Spirit's telling me to say this because somebody's been getting into somebody's pills. So please, those do not have a high ratio of effect to fatality. It's very low. In fact, the lowest. Opioids have the lowest. If psychedelics have the highest, opioids have the lowest ratio of effect to fatality. Okay, so please be careful with that. Yeah, it was cheap. It was available. And so, but always, right? Always, because I've always been who I am, because the ancestors tapped me early, I was the high school shaman. I was the one who said, okay, y'all, here's what we about to do. I got this, whatever, X substance. And so we're going to take it. We're going to go to the park. And then we're going to walk by the river and we're going to do this. And come on, now I didn't know nothing about nothing, I knew, right? Clearly, intuitively in my spirit, I knew. But I didn't know, right? I didn't know in the way that I know now. But I knew. My spirit said, come on, y'all, we need this, right? A lot of my friends, the 90s was that period of the goth and depression. A lot of people were so, were depressed and feeling bad and having issues, and a lot of my friends were on these. That was when Prozac first hit the streets, and it was like every other kid at my school had a prescription. They tried to have me on it. They tried to say I was psychotic. Come on, I'm telling y'all the real deal right now. I'm telling y'all, trust. They tried to have me on antipsychotic drugs. They tried to tell me I was crazy, right, for the things that I was seeing and experiencing and feeling, right? Kat says, oh snap, that's her. And Ruth says, yes, that was me too. Okay, the guidance counselor one of my friends' moms, that they shouldn't hang out with me, right? Because I was a bad influence. And, by standard definitions, I probably was. I was teaching folks how to, roll up their blunts, and I was out there, doing these things. But understand, again, always with the shaman spirit. It was never just about running around acting crazy. It was always about, right, expanding consciousness and saying, look, y'all, they trying to have us on these pills. They trying to medicate us. They're trying to say we're crazy. We're not crazy. We just need to expand our minds, right? We just need to come into a new state of consciousness, and come on, let's go do it. So Central Park, New York City, the place where so many ancestors, come on, that was a black town before they built that park. Ancestors are there. Baba eni seseni, iya eni seseni, seselabo, kato borisha. Ancestral land that I didn't even know at that time, come on somebody, was ancestral land. That was my place to conduct my rituals. That was my place. That park was my backyard, my home. And we would take our little acid, our little mescaline, our mushrooms. We would go, and I would facilitate these journeys. I would take my friends on hikes from Harlem all the way down to 59th Street, and we'd walk 3 times around the reservoir, right? And we would sing songs, and I would touch them and feel their energy, and I didn't even know. But one by one, they stopped. One by one, right? They were able to come off of these various substances that they had been given, right? And Lauren, I see your comment, and please understand, this is not to shame. She says folks go overboard and shame folks who need psychotropic drugs or the drugs that are prescribed by psychiatrists to carefully treat mental illnesses. Definitely nuance. Definitely we have to nuance. These substances that are created to help us mentally can be helpful. They can. And so there's no shame in anybody who uses and has been helped by any type of medical drug whatsoever, right? This is not to shame, but this is just to understand. This is to understand that those substances are not meant to heal us, right? They are meant as band-aids. They are meant as really things that we continue using, and often they don't have the desired effect in the long run, because what's really needed to get to the base of whatever is plaguing us, right, is to really be cracked open all the way from the inside, right? It's not just about some chemical imbalance in the brain, although it could be at times, right? Physical chemical imbalance is real. But in many cases, it is something much deeper that needs to be broken open so that ultimately they don't need that Prozac or whatever that other substance is anymore, right? And so that is a part of these journeys that many people go through with these entheogens, these substances that are meant to truly heal, right? To teach us. In Peru, they call them teacher plants, that they come through to teach us things. They come through to unlock keys, to unlock truth, to unlock, to get us to the root of that depression, to get us to the root of that addiction, to break it open, right? And this is why La Madre Ayahuasca in particular has been really effective. The particular shaman that we have worked with in Peru, shout out to you, Randy. Abre, abre, abre is one of the songs. Ooh, now I gotta get it. Abre cuerpecito para entrar la luz de tu interior. Abre, abre, abre. Abre almacito para entrar la luz de tu interior. Abre, abre, abre. Abre corazón para entrar la luz de tu interior. So this is a leaf rattle used in ayahuasca ceremonies. And that song, see, once you have taken these sacred journeys, what they call, again, in the, the language of drugs, they call these flashbacks. But you can re-experience some of what you have formerly experienced, right? Some of that other state of consciousness you can experience, right? Even without communing with the substance again, you can take yourself there again. And so that song says, open, open, open. Open heart, open soul, open body. To let in the light from our interior. To let in and to let out the light of our interior. Right? The light is already in you. It's not external. Sometimes we just cannot open to feel it and see it, to truly be healed, right? To truly pluck out that core of whatever it is. So yes, Iya has been doing this shaman thing for a long time, and it wasn't always easy. And I'm not saying this is the way, again, this is not to encourage or promote. This is to inform, right? So if this is something that you have had in your mind and in your heart and you feel connected to it, I want to inform so that we really understand how these journeys are supposed to take place and what the purpose of them is. Hi, Janet Alafia. Yes, Renee, one of our sojourners, is here with us. Yes, yes, yes. Right? So let me tell you about this journey. So I told you when I was young, how I would facilitate these journeys, and we'd go into the park, and we would roll down the hills, and we would hike, and I would just let spirit lead. I say, okay, yeah, now we need to go to this rock, and we just need to touch this rock, and we just need to just touch it and just breathe for a few minutes, and we'd all go touch the rock, and we'd be like, okay, yeah, we got that. And then sometimes, we would sit down and look into each other's eyes. Right? Come on now, Spirit's saying we need to sit down and just look at each other. And we sit in a circle and we look at each other, whatever it was, right? And this, I'm talking 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, like these years. These was the years for this, right? Not knowing, right, that I was healing myself too. Come on, somebody. Come on. Because I was, I was on the Prozac. I was on the haloperidol. I was on the Cogentin to counteract the side effects of the haloperidol. Come on. They said I was crazy. And I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And ultimately, healed myself with these journeys. Healed myself. Again, not recommending that. I wish I had a guide. But the ancestors were my guide at that time. The ancestors were my guide at that time. And ultimately, I said, you know what? I see now. I see. And I don't need this anymore. And against the wishes of my parents, against the wishes of the doctors, against everybody's wishes, I said, enough. That's enough. That's it. I'm not taking it anymore. I'm not taking the medicine to counteract the side effects of the other medicine. I'm not dealing with any of this because now I know, now I see, now I understand. And that was it for me, right? And so this is why I feel called to continue leading these types of journeys of true transformation. And thank you, Gladivel, Kat, Carlette, Tanae, for your energy. Thank you, Camille. Yes, that healing. Come on now. That healing. Gladivel says, give thanks for your ability to listen to spirit. Ashe, I give thanks because I didn't know. I can't say I knew, but I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do it. And then ultimately, the real continued healing came through. The real continued healing came through with my connection to the spirits, right? Because that's its own form of what? Non-ordinary consciousness. So what's the key? What's the connection here? When we're talking spirit possession, right? When we're talking even just feeling the spirit come up through you, it's right? It's deep, it's experiential. It's not something you can explain. You just feel it and then it beams out and it transforms. And that's why my primary ministry is to bringing these experiences of spirit, right? To bringing in these experiences of spirit, to bringing in these experiences of spirit, and to understanding, importantly, like the class that I'm about to teach, the graduate course I'm about to teach on Indigenous psychology, that we have always had means to deal with every part of the human condition. Psychology did not start with Freud. Sociology did not start with Weber. Okay? None of them. X. It started at the very beginning from us, right? From the very first society that we built, right? That's where it started from. That's where it started from. That's where it started from, right? From the very beginning. They didn't invent this. We not new to this. We true to this. Our communalism is a part of our psychology. Understand that when you are feeling depressed, the first thing you want to do is isolate yourself. That's the first thing. And guess what? Africans will never, ever let you do that. I joke about how they don't barely let you go to the bathroom by yourself. Do you need to pee or poop? Which one is it? Do you need to, shall I bring water? Are you okay? Are you sure? I'm okay, right? That communalism is a part of our indigenous psychology, because we don't allow each other to just isolate in and wither and die. No, we don't allow it. If somebody isolates, your family will be banging on your door. Hello? What is wrong with you? Why you're not coming out of your room? Come out now. Let's go. Let's go. We will go to the market. We're going to go and do this. We're going to go and do that. We're going to go and do that. Right? That is how we treat those feelings. We ask, we say, what's wrong with you? Even that. Whoa, right? Well, what is wrong with me? Shoot, now you got to think, right? They're going to come and confront you. We confront. We don't just ignore it. That's part of our problem here in our society. We ignore shit. And I'm using that word, Lauren said, I add a Emma effer so your ignorant ones hear me, right? Come on. Right? So, this is not new. We've been here. We've had the means to deal with this. We have had the means to deal with this. We have had the means to deal with this. The individualism of Eurocentric lifestyle that we have been indoctrinated into is the biggest and baddest demon out there. We be worried about all kinds of other stuff. That right there is a part of what is killing us. Our disconnection from each other, right? We confront. Africans do not disconnect. We confront. Even if it's going to take an argument, we confront. Even if it's going to hurt and we got to cry and we got to yell and we got to talk it out all night. And trust me, I have been there at some of them all night African talk sessions, okay? However long it takes, we are going to resolve the issue. We are going to confront. We are going to make you confront whatever it is that is going on, right? Whatever it is that is going on. Whatever it is that is going on. Amanda asks, what if that disconnection is to keep you safe? All right, tell me a little more what you mean by that, sweetie. Definitely, because that could, sometimes, yeah, we everybody has their path, but understand I think I know what you mean. So if disconnecting from others who are somehow abusive, or that's abusiveness, of course, no, I would never encourage being around people who are abusive or who are otherwise unsafe. The connection is with those who are able to help us, right? Disconnect. Yes, thank you, Olufija. Disconnect from the toxic to connect to healing. Thank you. Right? So we disconnect from something and we connect to something else, right? That is a part. That's why we have to build. Our tribes and our communities and our iles and our peristiles and our casas de santo and all of those things. Again, this is indigenous sociology that our ancestors brought here. Hey, mommy, Rev Regina in the house, y'all. Y'all better save that date, June 24th. Reverend and Iya is about to come at you, right? Lauren said, I wish our families took this approach more often. All of the passive-aggressive shit at the dinner table could be sussed out if we would just confront what's underneath. Come on! Confront it! Stop the nonsense. So many of our issues are because we do not confront things. We don't just say what's bothering us. And let me let you know something. All of those of you that are getting close to 40 hit different, okay? 40 hits real different because you start to understand that we don't have time. We don't have time to be messing around. We ain't got time. You be like, wait, I'm approaching middle age, hey? Kilo de, Average lifespan, come on, I'm a Virgo and an Obatala. I gotta be practical. Average lifespan, 78, 80 years. I know I'm gonna live to 100, but still, that means I only got 60 more. Y'all know I got a lot to do. So I don't have time to play. We gonna suss it out. We gonna say what it is. Sonia said, some of us don't have the tools to confront safely. And I understand, again, don't get me wrong. I'm talking about an epistemological orientation, right? I am not suggesting that anyone confront anyone or any situation that would be unsafe for them to confront in this moment. What I'm speaking about is the epistemological orientation of truth and reconciliation being at the forefront of how we engage with the world as Africans, right? Hey, Net, I see you too. My big sister and my mommy are up in here, right? Epistemological orientation, right? Epistemological orientation. So the African epistemological or knowledge production and reception orientation, the African sociological orientation, the African psychological orientation is toward connection, truth, reconciliation, right? And again, we are not living in that society. So of course, many of us are in a place where we cannot confront those things because it's like the Matrix. You can't just unplug everybody all together at one time, right? Because they ain't ready. You got to find the ones that are ready, unplug them, explain it to them, and then y'all figure out how you're going to unplug the rest, right? So we understand it's not easy. And please do, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that folks just stop taking their medications. I'm not suggesting that folks go and confront abusers or anybody who is unsafe to them. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm trying to, again, push home is that we have always had the tools. We have always had the tools to heal ourselves. This is why even when I go to Nigeria, Ghana, other places, and I'm talking now, some of the more westernized, think about this, right? I've never seen a person in the village, in the bush, depressed or having any kind of mental issue. It's only those in the cities that I personally have witnessed, right? And who even understand it. When I talk to someone from the village about this concept of depression, they say, well, so the person is sad. So what's the problem? And I say, well, it's not a specific problem. It's a generalized, sadness, or it's a generalized feeling of, despondency. And that doesn't even compute, because it's like, well, okay, if they're sad, then why don't you do something to fix? Okay, did they try this? Did they go with the family? Where are they? Whatever. Did they have a spouse? Did they have a child? Did they have this? Right? These are the questions that, it's like, no, we can fix this. We can't just accept this as a state of being and say, I'm here. We say, okay, I'm here. Why am I here? Right? Why am I here? How do I leave this place? Why am I in this place? And how do I get out of it? Right? That's the orientation. That's why we divine. Come on now, divination is another one of our psychological and sociological tools. Right? Yes, come on, Mama Rochelle. Yes, what does she say? They take the people that are depressed in the city to the village. Yes. Come on. You got to leave this unnatural, because what is the city? An unnatural environment. Just like when we talk this whole crabs in a barrel nonsense, I'm like, of course, crabs in a barrel gonna try to climb over each other. Being in a barrel is an unnatural environment. So how you gonna blame a crab for trying to crawl on top of another crab to get out of a barrel when being in the barrel in the first place means you've been trapped? Come on. So no, don't admonish the crabs crawling over each other. Admonish the barrel. Break the barrel. Let's get it all and move our weight to one side to turn the barrel over. Because as long as we in that barrel, yes, we're going to be climbing over each other trying to get out, because it's an unnatural state. It's an unnatural state. Sonia says we need to grow healthy communities. Yes. And Lauren said, yes, it's sometimes why those who are depressed may go home for a bit, wherever their home is on earth. Yes. Right? Yes. So all of this, including the entheogens, the psychedelics, are a part of our orientation. They are a part of that orientation of saying, when something is going on that I don't understand, come on, Lauren, come on, don't get me singing now. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes the tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the snowflakes that fall have meaning. Sprinkling the scene makes it all so clean. Epa, Orisa, the snow sprinkling the scene makes it all so clean. Home. I'm missing my mommy right now. We call for our mothers. Remember that our first home is Ileogere afoko yere amuni muni abeni ade, the earth. The earth, the earth, the earth, the earth is our home. The real earth, the plants who have lessons to teach us, the dirt, the water, the sun. These structures of steel and glass and stone, no. Our home is the earth. And she has every single thing that we need. Oi, Isaura, ¿cómo va? She has everything that we need. Everything. She has the medicine. She has the food. She is the home of our ancestors, right? We often look up to the sky when we talk about spirit, but think about where they go. They go into the ground. They go into her bosom. We have everything, including these wonderful teaching substances, these wonderful teaching spirits. I don't even like to call them substances because when we think about, again, a part of our orientation as Africans is that we have a broad ontology that makes room for beings other than human beings to have agency. I'll say that again because I know that we have a broad, multivalent ontology, right? Broad and multivalent. Yes, plants are people too, Mandisa. That allows us to recognize the agency and selfhood of non-human beings, including plants. Right? That is our epistemology. That is why when I speak about La Madre, I speak about her as she, and I talk about what she did for me and how she taught me. I talk about how she healed some of the folks who came on that sacred journey with me, on those sacred journeys from so many things. One was healed physically and came off of medication that she had been taking for years. One was healed from sexual abuse trauma. One was healed from trauma from having been in the military. One was healed of depression. One was healed of feeling that she would never get a partner, and she met her husband the next month. Okay? La Madre, La Madre, La Madre. Amanda said, I was thinking about this as my fiance cut our grass and foliage. The law says he has to. Look, this is a whole other lecture. You see, we already over an hour. They done took us on a journey. We've opened. Abre, abre, abre. Abre corazón para entrar la luz de tu interior. Open, open, open and let the light in. Open and let the light in. Open and let the light in. That's all we have to do. And that is what these plant allies, these plant teachers are meant to help us do, to open and to receive the light. Let us understand too that, as I'm going to talk about in my book, and I might have to give a whole other lecture about this, the persecution of plants, was a huge part of the persecution of women, powerful spiritual women, and the persecution of Africana religions and all indigenous religions. So this idea of the lawn having to be cut to a certain level, this idea of all the plants needing to be tamed and disciplined, right? Because the bush, the natural bush, is where we have to find these things. A true shaman in Peru, in the Amazon, high Amazon, says that you cannot make the sacred brew from a tree that you have planted. that a part of the journey of making the brew is that you have to go into the forest and find the mother. You have to go find her. She has to call you to where she is. And you have to find her. Scientists are baffled specifically about ayahuasca because they say there's no way that trial and error could be the way that this was discovered. There's no way. It would have taken too much time and probably too many deaths and too many other things to use trial and error, so that this has to be divinely inspired. Right? Even the scientists who have studied these things say, we got nothing. We don't know where they got it from, but we know where they got it from. Entheos. They were imbued. They were imbued. They were imbued with that spirit. Right? So, go out. Go out. Camille said, I'm going to cry because I'm being called to airway work. Come on now. Kosi Ewe, Kosi Orisha. Go out. Some of y'all that follow me on IG, you see I have my little pail of dirt on the porch that I put my feet in. If you live in an apartment, get you a big bowl and put some potting soil in it. Come on now. Those feet have to touch the dirt. We have to be regrounded. We have to be reconnected first with our mother, the earth, to realize that she has every single thing that we need. Everything, everything, everything. And to rediscover how to bring out her gifts and use them for all of our benefits, for all of us, so that we all win. Because why? Ubuntu, as they say in Southern Africa, I am because you are. If you were not here right now, I would be talking to myself, right? You and I are exchanging right now. Remember, as I always tell you, I'm touching you physically, right? My voice is vibrating your eardrums. We are together. And you are as important a part of this process as I. In the book Braiding Sweetgrass that we read together in the Akeko Circle, she talks about the process of braiding. Where's my braid? She talks about the process of braiding sweetgrass and how in order to make the braid, one person has to hold the end while the other person braids. And that both are important. If the holder lets go or if the braider lets go, right? It doesn't work. So understand, you and I, we are braiding together ancient knowledge, and you are as important as I am in this process. And I always want you to take it, please. All the medicine, the lectures, the songs, the meditations, the trips, all of it, all of it, all of it is medicine, and all of it is for you and for us to be who we should be and to grow and to expand and to abre, abre, abre. Yes, 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 yes. Remember, too, if you're in Baba John's class right now, and if you're not, I'm going to need you to sign up for the Communversity so that you can be in the next round. He talks about how even though we tend to laud Osine as the father of plants, that actually, where's the page? Aja, the female counterpart, the bush woman, the plant woman, the one who has that knowledge, right? The female, the mother, the one who cooks, the one who makes the medicine, right? That is mother. The first thing that mother cooks, the first medicine that mother makes in her sacred pot of the womb is us, right? So we are each other's medicine. Eniyan la shomi, Eniyan la shomi. People are my clothing. I am naked without them. We need each other. We need each other. We need each other. And this is one of the beautiful things that these entheogenic teachers have taught me over time and have always prompted, is to bring us together, to bring us together, to bring us together, to bring us together, and to connect us more deeply with the divine. So as we prepare to leave from each other's presence, only the digital presence, always together in spirit, right? We just lift each other up. I want you to close your eyes for one moment and just focus on another person who you love. This is the medicine, right? We filling ourselves with spirit so that we can generate more spirit. Just pull in someone who you love into your mind. And now another someone. Take a nice deep breath. And now send a beam of heart energy and of love, of abundance, of prosperity, of deep healing, of goodness. Beam that out of your heart towards that person right now. Somebody's beaming it towards me. Thank you. I feel that. Ooh, a few of you. Ashe. Thank you. Thank you. We are each other's medicine. We are each other's medicine. The Mother Earth is our medicine. Togetherness is our medicine. Being filled with the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, Entheos, being filled with the Holy Spirit, however that happens. Understand as well, I just want to say this as we prepare to close up, that this is not the only way to experience this. Psychedelics or entheogens are not the only ways to experience this, right? We experience it with spirit possession. We experience it with deep prayer and meditation, right? When you see in some Islamic traditions, as they chant the Quran, they move their bodies back and forth like this, right? Again, anything that brings your consciousness to a level that is other than it is on any given regular, quote unquote, ordinary moment is a teacher. Your mantras are teachers. Everything has the capacity to teach, right? Everything. So take your lessons from everywhere and remember that the true medicine and the medicine that the entheogens help us to connect with, the true medicine is the Ashe, the Olodumare, the Maulisa, the God, the Bon Dieu, the Allah, the Creator. That, the Creator's Ashe is the medicine. Those entheogenic teacher plants are but one manifestation of that great Ashe. And so I pray that you're always able to tap in. Lauren says, sometimes during prayer and meditation, I see visions when I close my eyes. I don't share often because I don't want anyone to dismiss me as crazy, but it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. Look, if you wasn't seeing no visions when you close your eyes during prayer and meditation, I would be saying, the connection, you need a little more connection. So that's exactly what's supposed to be happening, right? That is why we pray. That is why we meditate. That is why the Creator is the medicine. The Creator has just broken itself into all of these various pieces that we are able to interact with and just get a piece of that greatness. Just get a piece of that goodness. Just to get a piece of that power of manifestation. Just to get a piece. Ashe. And just to get a peace. P-E-A-C-E too. A peace within ourselves. Within ourselves. So, go on ahead and hit those hearts if you have been blessed if you feel the love. Some of my godchildren and others have been getting on me for not passing the collection plate. I pour it out, but I know that I do have to give the opportunity for those who are feeling it in their hearts to bless me as well. And so I am inviting you, those of you who feel it in your heart, you are welcome to send a blessing to $Funlayo on Cashapp, at Funlayo W at Venmo, or Funlayo at AseIre.com for Zelle and PayPal. Just thank you. Thank you. The biggest, as they say in the church, the biggest donation you can give is yourself. So your time, which you can never get back, right? Time, which is the only resource that is not renewable. You have spent your time with me, and that means more to me than anything. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you for investing in you. Investing in you, investing in you. You are all so welcome. I see your messages rolling in. Tanae, Christina said, ooh, I saw blue all after the meditation. Ashe, yes, yes. Priscilla says, thank you. You are so welcome, Priscilla, and thank you for sharing. Aisha, Carlette, Renee, Mandisa, Amanda, Sonia, everyone who is here today, my mother, come on. Iya ni wura ni ebiye, tia kole fowora. Iya ni wura ni ebiye, tia kole fowora. Olo yume fodumesa, opo mi fodumeta. Iya ni wura ni ebiye, tia kole fowora. Mother is priceless, more precious than gold. She carries us in her womb for 9 months. She carries us on her back for 3 years. She carries us. And in the case of our Mother Earth, she carries us so much longer than that. Be sure you touch the earth today. Be sure you thank her for her gifts. Be sure you pour a little libation. That is why we pour libation. We nourish the earth. And we say thank you. Our precious mother, to all the mothers, to La Madre Ayahuasca, to the Mother Earth, to the physical mothers, to the spiritual mothers. We thank you. We thank you. I'm going to look forward to being with y'all again. I'm going to look forward to being with y'all again on the next second Sunday. If you need more, if this was your first time being here, I'm going to drop the links to YouTube and all of that in the comments. You can go to the YouTube channel to see the replays. And you can also join the Akeko Circle, which is our private student group of those who are monthly donors to the temple. We have such a good time. We had Mama Coco in there with us last month. I always bring through sometimes the authors of the books we read together, sometimes other special guests to have, conversations and fun with us. And so you are welcome to join. Everything that you need from me and Ase Ire is at AseIre.com. You can book a reading to schedule some personal time with me, watch the YouTube videos. You can get my ebook Mojuba to learn our prayer and use that as some of your medicine. Come on, we got medicine, we got medicine, we got medicine. I see my Iyalode in here. She got medicine. Come on, so many medicine makers are right here in the comments, and I appreciate you, and I just lift each and every one of you up. I lift you up, I lift you up, I lift you up. I lift you up. Blessings, blessings, and more blessings always. Until next time, Odabo.